Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, world, and welcome back to Codename Morpheus. This is episode 20. I
feel like it's 20-2.
It's 20.2
if we're doing
something.
Final Fantasy, it's 22.
Let's explain really quickly, in case you weren't with us yesterday on Indie. Basically, we did a live stream 24 hours a couple weeks ago. We did episode 20 during the live stream, but for whatever reason, YouTube hates us and did not save the live stream. So in that instance, we decided, well, since there was probably only 2 people that watched that entire thing, we would just redo the episode, so it's like in nice order for you on the podcast menu and things like that. So, episode 20 of Codename Morpheus, which is your swan dive into the world of the virtual, where we are going to talk about PSVR and everything we've missed for the last 2 weeks. We've been absent for a little bit.
I was sick last week. I'm hungover this week. Beautiful time.
It's.
I don't feel as bad as I did earlier. I felt like when I walked in your house, I felt like shit.
Yeah. You've been drinking some Red Bull. That'll perk you up a little
liquid
bit.
energy. It's not. It's gonna key out. You'll be able to see where it says sugar free.
There you go. My name is Tom, and this is my buddy Keegan, and we're about to dig in. First of all, we're going to start with some new games, and then we have a metric ton of sales for you. This is probably the most sales I've seen for VR games in any given week.
I say we do sales rapid fire.
I'll rapid fire the shit out of it. Yeah, don't worry.
How quickly you can go
and then we have a bunch of news, 2 weeks worth of news, a spotlight, and of course a question that we top it off with. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's dig in. So new games this week, and also a little bit of last week too, because we missed it. VR, the Diner Duo. What do you know? What do you say? Have you seen anything on this yet?
I do. It looks like Job Simulator, but the kitchen thing, but better. Because it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
So it's both VR and out VR. I saw the video and I didn't really understand kind of how it worked with the multiplayer, but I'm interested to see.
Well, it looks like in VR you're like heads up making food and stuff, but you're the waitress or waiter when you're the PS4.
Yeah.
You're
That's what I thought. That's what it looked like. This is probably one I'll pick up just because I love this type of games, especially now that I'm having friends over more and more to play video games. Like, this is a perfect... I got friends everywhere.
And VR, the Diner Duo is $15.
It seems like a perfect like game. Like, and $15 is a good... I don't know how much is there is in the game. What I saw is you're making hamburgers, which could be a lot of fun. But I love those stupid things. The coolest thing to me, and this is real dumb, but I wish more VR games did it, is you can adjust the height of the counter.
That's true.
So
and that was like the first thing they touted as well in the trailer. It's like, you can adjust the height. And like, just it's a weirid thing to start with. But okay.
It makes sense, because how many times, like, I was trying to play Hollowball yesterday, and like, I was in the floor, and I was like, how do I get up here?
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, finally developers are really starting to get a handle on like the little things and that need to be tweakable, I think, in the world.
I'm less angry at PSVR now than I was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things, as we will talk about.
Yeah, we got a whole lot. But it's cool. I'm glad that you're coming around. Accounting Plus was a big one this week. Accounting Plus, of course, was announced during the Game Awards show, which we will talk about a little bit later. But Accounting Plus is by Crows and like Squanch Games or something. I can't remember what
Justin Roiland is
it's the Rick and Morty guys. So whatever their developer studio is called, it's like Squanch Games or something, with Crows. And basically it looks really unique. It allegedly can play anywhere from like half an hour to 3-4 hours, depending on where you're at. There's a lot of secret stuff. They keep talking about this zoo level that they said like less than 1% of players will find, which makes me think it's going to be one of those like PT level like puzzles where you have to go like 15 steps this way, turn right, hit that bell. But the game looks great. The one thing that they talked about a little bit during the Game Awards is that they kind of wanted to experiment with the idea of presence in VR, which I think is really awesome, because instead of just being like, you are controlling or manipulating the situation, like there's kind of a lot of VR games where you're almost otherworldly, like the Invisible Hour, that kind of thing, where you're like kind of a fly on the wall. In this, the characters that are in this game world are very much aware of your existence and are like directly referring to you. Yeah, and like when you do certain things in the game, like they react to the things you're doing.
Have you seen the Rick and Morty Rickality?
Virtual Rickality?
Yeah, have you seen like any gameplay of that?
No, not gameplay. But
so they do something similar where like you're a clone Morty in that game, and Rick will just berate you if you don't do what he wants you to do the whole time. Which I'm not a huge Rick and Morty fan, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So Accounting Plus, $12. There was a little bit of a pre-order discount on it if you got it early. I picked it. I pre-ordered it this morning, which is when it came out. So I got 70 cents off or something, which I'm pretty happy about.
I don't know if I'm picking this up. I told you earlier, I'm not a huge Rick and Morty fan when it comes to the comedy, so it just seems too stupid.
As soon as I saw the tree guy.
Worst case scenario, I'll log into your account and I'll play it.
That's fine.
But I don't even think that.
As soon as I saw the tree guy and he's berating you, I was like, this is a must play. Also, a long time coming, and everyone's been asking hey, what's up with Ultra Wings lately? And turns out it's released. So there you go.
It's here.
Yeah, it's here. There was no fanfare really. It just kind of dropped out. It's $25, which is not insignificant amount of money for a VR game, but it does look like there's a whole lot going on.
It looks like Pilot Wings, kind of, but
yeah, I mean they've added kind of. It's interesting because you have the flight modes. You also have the shooting gallery stuff. You can shoot directly from your vehicle, or you can use a move controller out the side and kind of feel badass. The landing is a big part of it as well, and actually controlling the plane, doing the right movements to make it get off the ground and stuff. I think it's a perfect game for VR, so I picked it up, and I'm kind of more just excited about the inertia feeling, of actually being in an airplane and seeing if you get
Flight Simulator. That would be cool. The Flight Simulator game.
For sure, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Could you imagine a Flight Simulator game with a control panel?
So a super realistic one? Yeah. I mean, you got to think they're working on that type of stuff.
PCs already have the
They've used games to teach pilots for years.
Oh, yeah. They just put them in the fake Boeing with
right. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Just put a headset on them.
Yeah. So Ultra Wings, really exciting release that just kind of came out of nowhere. And then another one, a small game called Vertigo, which is only $3.20 down from $4. There's a little bit of a first week sale on that. So I mean that's a cheap VR game, but it kind of looks like a weird version of Tetris or something. Not Tetris, but the match 3 games basically. Yeah. You have these kind of color blocks that are coming towards you, and they fall at the end of this little road that they're on, and you have to try and put color to color, and then they go away. And
I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't know where the VR. It's one of those games I didn't know where VR came into it.
I think it's probably just that you see it in front of you, as an actual a pretend real.
Well,
game.
It's I guess Super Hypercube, where that technically didn't need. Well, it kind of did. You had to look around it.
Yeah, but it's enhancement, but not necessarily
I made Ebony play Super Hypercube, and once you started getting the 3D spins, she was just nope.
Yeah, it's really that game is really.
I love that game now.
But yeah, I mean, for $3.20, it's probably worth it. To be honest, I might even pick it up.
$4.20 plays it.
I picked up Canning Plus and Ultra Wings this week. I have not picked up Diner Duo. I figured
I'll probably pick that up.
And then Vertigo is one of those it's $3.20.
I've been playing my VR more and more recently.
Yeah,
because it's giving me a reason to, and because I have friends.
So. Sales. Oh, Lord. There are so many of them.
Do it one breath, Tom.
Rapid fire. One breath?
One breath.
I don't think I can do it one breath. I'll try. But there's a lot. I mean, I might die. I would genuinely die doing this. So I'm going to go through them anyway, and I'm just give you the rinse down because there's so many of them. But this is what's on sale this week. Senran Kangura. Already I'm out of breath. Peach Beach Splash. The limited edition is $42 down from $60. The regular version is $35 down from $50. Now, this is not a pure VR game. This is a game that has a VR component to it.
Is it the Stare Bikini Girls?
It is, the Stare Bikini Girls. It's one of those, so of course I had to pick it up for an awkward review, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Farpoint is 30 down from 50. Arizona Sunshine is 20 down from 40. Moto Racer 4 is 10 down from 40. That is another one that it's not a pure VR experience, but the VR is very well done in there. I actually have played that. I own that, and the VR is surprisingly good in Moto Racer 4. I think it's one of the most overlooked VR games out there right now for racing.
Because the trailer looks not good.
No, the trailer did not do it justice. It is first-person biking. I mean, it's awesome. PAVR, otherwise known as Paranormal Activity VR, The Lost Souls is 20 down from 40. Raw Data, 28 down from 40. Archangel, I cannot recommend that game enough. 1710 down from 30. Eve Valkyrie Warzone, 15 down from 30. Abduction, this is a game that does not yet have its VR patch, but it is incoming, and it's been promised by developers.
And it'll be free when it comes.
So when it comes, it'll be a free update. That's 18 down from 30. Res Infinite Digital Deluxe Holiday Promo, 18 down from 30. Res is one of the better experiences you can get in VR. Spark, 15 down from 30. The Assembly, 12 down from 30. Time Machine VR, 16, 50 down from 30. Dying Reborn bundle, $2.50 down from $25, and Dying Reborn VR, that's the one that doesn't have the regular game with it, $1 down from $10. Pixel Gear and Ace Banana bundle pack, $2.50 down from $25. Pinball FX2 VR, $7.50 down from $15.
Ooh.
The Season 1 pack is $12.50 down from $25, and the Walking Dead pack is $3 down from $6.
There. So I just picked this up because like I told you, and you guys are going to find out here at some point, but I've had people over play VR last night. I'm hopefully make it a thing. But I picked this up. I kind of want to pick up the Season Pass now because all the different machines. Because it was
the Season Pass off put me at $25. That's the best price I've ever seen it. Yeah. 100-foot Robot Golf, 6 down from 20. Ancient Emulator, 10 down from 20. Sports Bar VR, 8 down from 20. Monsters of the Deep, 1980 down from 30. Drive Club VR, 7 down from 20. N-Space, 8 from 20. Here They Lie, 7 from 20. Mervils, a VR Adventure, 10 from 20. Mortal Blitz, 10 from 20. VR World, 7 from 20. Pick that shit up. Definitely worth it. Smash Box Arena, 4 from 20. Sneaky Bears, 10 from 20. Static, 12 from 20. Starblood Arena, 8 from 20. Super Stardust Ultra VR, 7 from 20. Skyrim VR, 420. 40-20. Down from 60. Yeah, 40-20, sorry. Down from that. Solus Project, I highly recommend, 8 from 20. Special Delivery, I do not recommend, 5 from 20. Starship Disco, 5 from 10. Tumble VR, 350 from 10. Pick that shit up if you like puzzle games. Viri VR, Feel the Wild, 2 from 10. Waddle Home VR, 2 from 20. Weeping Doll, 1 from 10. Manifest 99, I do recommend, 420, actual 420 down from 6. Soul Dimension, 250 down from 5. Thumper, 10 from 20. Pick that up. Bloody Zombies, 9 from 15. Darknet, 750 from 15. DreamWorks Voltron VR Chronicles, 6 from 15. Unearthing Mars, 450 from 15. VR Ping Pong, 6 from 15. And Digital Domains, Monkey King, 4 from 10.
So now that you're done, I want to go back through, and the ones I recommend of this list are
passing out right now.
Yeah. The ones I'd recommend from that list are, you recommend Archangel. We'll start with that. Archangel. I think Spark, I've not played it, but I've heard Spark's a lot of fun. I have it, I just haven't played it yet. Time Machine VR is worth it. Pinball FX2 VR is worth it. Ancient Emulator is worth it. I'm trying to think like the big ones.
I think Rez definitely is worth it. I think,
Skyrim, obviously.
Honestly, Paranormal Activity is one of the better horror experiences out there. It's secondary to like Resident Evil, but it's definitely worth it in my eyes.
Thumper's worth it. I mean, there's lots of things that are on there, but
really good lineup.
The only ones I would say avoid: 100-foot Robot Golf and what was the other one? Special Delivery. Tumblr, by the way. Tumble VR, if you like puzzle, like stacks, it's stacks on stacks on stacks in VR. If you like stacking games or puzzle games, like I played that for a little bit yesterday, and like with the room of people, and they were helping me like trying to solve. It was a lot of fun actually as a social experience.
Physics based, it's on there. Obviously Skyrim, pick it up if you haven't already. Solus Project is a huge one for me. Solus Project is like legitimately in my top 5.
You know what's not on here? I just realized. First of all, let's talk about how many games are $20, the normal price. There's a lot of 20s in there.
Yeah.
But you know what's not on here is Ubisoft games. There's no Eagle Flight, there's no Werewolves, and there's no Star Trek.
True.
So,
although I did hear recently from a little birdie that Star Trek Bridge Crew is like $7 in the bin at Target right now.
There you go.
So there you go. So head to Target and you might pick that up on the cheap.
Cool.
So that's a massive amount of sales, and we all know why. A, because it's the holidays, and B, because all of you just bought fucking PSVRs, like all of you, all the people. And I've said this before, and it wasn't as true as it is now, but legitimately r/PSVR has gone to like hundreds of thousands of people at this point. And it's really cool to see the growth of VR. So there you go. There's your new releases for the week and all of the sales for the week. Let's move on to news, because there's a lot to swallow. This is 2 weeks worth of content this week. We're giving it to you raw. Vacation Simulator.
Excited about this one.
You raw. Vacation Simulator, the sequel to Job Simulator. Are you excited?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of mixed because I don't know. I saw the trailer for it and I tried to figure out what I would be doing in it. That's the thing that has me confused. Like Job Simulator makes sense. Like you're at an office, you're cooking,
you have a role to play.
Yeah. Like what are you playing when you're on vacation? You're sitting at a pool.
I mean, maybe it's like you get to do games and stuff. Yeah, like maybe it's like you have to go wave surfing or something. I don't know.
I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm excited about it because I love Job Simulator, but I want to know a little bit more about what I'm actually going to be doing.
The developers did a great job with Job Simulator. I think everyone could be kind of like confident.
When I tell people, like, the first time I have someone play a moves game, like with the moves, 99% of the time will be Job Simulator because you're standing still,
right?
And you don't have to worry about them falling over themselves.
It's kind of goofy,
and you do whatever the hell you want.
So that was announced during the Game Awards, and then the other game announced was Accounting Plus, which we talked about a little bit earlier on. That's by Crows and Squanch. And basically, it is, as far as I can tell, just a really weird trip through a very bizarre world where everything knows you're alive.
Which is Justin Roiland's mind.
Yeah, it's literally like a really twisted episode of Rick and Morty. But, yeah, so that looks really great. Really excited to dig into that. That's going to be my review for next week, I think. And then we had the big one, PSX, which was... in some places let me down a tiny bit, in other places was the best thing ever. So I'm really excited to go into this week. Firewall 0 Hour was announced within the first, 5 minutes of the pre-show for that. So there's a bit of news that came out about Firewall since then, officially from the blog, the US PlayStation blog, and that is that it has single player as well as multiplayer, which was never confirmed before. If you're unfamiliar with Firewatch,
it's Rainbow Six
Firewall.
Siege.
Sorry, yeah, it's basically Rainbow Six Siege in VR. That's exactly what it looks like.
It's the one that I show people and go, this is a video game in. I think it said this to you. This is a video game in VR, not a game made for VR. Yeah, and I know that's really weird to say. But it's essentially
it's like a legitimate full length.
Yeah, it's a game that is, if you had it outside of VR, would work well. But in VR, I think it's gonna be that much better because it's more immersive.
Enhance.
Yes.
By the way, check out the shirt. This is new. This is a Codename Morpheus shirt. If you ever wanted an 8-bit PSVR headset on your shirt with Codename Morpheus there for your old school, this is future retro. That's what I'm rocking right now.
I got Iron Man.
Iron Man. You can buy that at.
You can buy that probably Kohl's, I think, is where I got this.
But, yeah, we did get some new shirts, so please check out our Spreadshirt if you're into the show. It'd be great. It's a great way to support us because then we can play more VR games. So, yeah, the single-player and multiplayer Firewall 0 Hour was a showstopper. I think a lot of people were like...
It's the one that's I'm super excited about. It does support the aim, which is awesome because that's going to be really
it didn't support the aim.
That'll now be the reason I pick up the aim because there's no game right now because... Obviously, Firepoint's a big one to do it, and I didn't really like Firepoint when it comes to spider jumping on my face. But this would be
this is legit.
I love Ubisoft's tactical games. So.
The only thing that I want more than this is Alvo, and I'm still like, Alvo is going to blow. Like, I'm so excited for it. You have no idea, guys. Alvo, ALVO. Go look it up.
Don't blow your load.
It'll blow your fucking mind. It's Counter-Strike in VR, and I want to play normal Counter-Strike, and I can't, but I can play a shit ton of VR, and with the aim control, I think it's going to be incredible. Anyway, moving on for PSX, Last Guardian VR experience is already out. It's a good 10-20 minute experience.
I've not done it. I haven't downloaded it. I haven't played it yet.
No, it's not bad.
I've watched people play it.
And essentially, you're just
How big is Trico?
Pretty big. Pretty fucking big. Yeah. Because...
the scale of that game is huge, but when you're playing it on a screen, you can't really see it. We're talking like multiple stories big?
Think Dragon in Skyrim, but a little bigger, maybe. Yeah.
But cuter and fluffier.
But yeah, but it's a bird dog.
How scary is it the first time he gets up in your face?
Not at all. You just want to rub his face.
You're like, oh god.
No, I was totally enamored with it because I haven't played Last Guardian, and so I was a big fan of Shadows of the Colossus. I was a big fan of Eco, but I never played Last Guardian. I just never got around to it, and so this actually intrigued me to the point where I'm considering picking up Last Guardian if I see it on a sale someplace.
Is it moves only? Because I know you could use the moves. But
I don't even think you use moves, honestly. I think it's DS4 only. But it's like, but basically you have spots that you can teleport to, and then you can also, you have to interact with the environment in very tiny ways to make Trico kind of move forward. So, one of the first things you have to do is kind of throw a barrel towards this area you want him to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. He'll try and snap up the barrel with his mouth. He missed in my instance. But then he'll, be, oh, this thing up here. And then he jumps on it, and then you can transport to his back. I will say this, riding Trico was fucking awesome. That made the experience for me. Being on his big fluffy back with his feathers flying everywhere, it was super incredible, really well rendered, really beautiful experience. It's not a game. Don't think you're getting a game, but as far as an experience goes, you couldn't ask for more. And it also makes me think that they should actually fucking make the whole game VR.
I wish, one of the things, and I know we got a lot of news to get to, but one of the things I keep saying is I want Sony to use first-party IP to add on to experiences people already have. So Last Guardian for IGN, wow. For Uncharted, They need to do. I still think
there's going to be something on.
But like this, at some point. I love. I wish it was bundled in with the game, so you didn't have to download something separate.
Yeah.
Just because, but I'm glad it's there. I'm more excited that it's there versus not.
And
but
it's free.
I hope in the future it'll be bundled with the game, so people. Because in my brain, if I either own a headset, I've got extra stuff that I get added on for games I'm already buying, or B, if I don't own a headset and I buy one, I then have all these experiences that I can go to, so I don't have to spend more money to get them. So it's you obviously want to have the games that you're going to want, like the Firewalls and the Skyrims and all that, but I still think there needs to be, like, Sony specifically needs to have the first-party add-ons in their titles to then entice people that don't have headsets and say, hey, you already have like 20 experiences you can do them.
You know what? Sony's been playing that so well recently because, you know, they have this thing now, this trial, where like you can basically get a 2-week trial of PSVR and then you can decide to keep it or send it back. There's so many people on the Reddit forums that are just like, I can't fucking believe it. But like, I did not think I would get sucked into this. I did not think it would be good. And there's a lot of people as well, this is really important, that were like, I was a VR hater and now I'm like a born-again VR
Again, last night, I had friends over again, and 4 people, it was the first time playing VR, and every time, we start with the Ocean Descent every time, the shark encounter, and there's always animated reactions, but the coolest feelings when people first get in there, and you're in the water, and you're just like looking around, and their jaw always drops, you're always like...
Yeah.
And it's so...
It's one of my favorite things.
It's one of those moments
seeing people react to that for the first time.
And then they get scared when they go down.
And the thing is that they're still bringing out experiences that make that happen for us. You know what I mean? Like when I got into Resident Evil, the same thing happened. When I got into Skyrim, the same thing happened.
Rec Room. Rec Room didn't drop my job, but Rec Room is a perfect game for me.
Just a lot of grins. They also announced that Wipeout VR is getting an update.
James is super excited about
this. I'm so pumped about this. This is the only thing that held me back from buying it the first time, because I'm a huge Wipeout fan. It's one of the only racing games I actually legitimately follow the series and like have played every one from the first one. And the fact they're making this VR is so exciting to me. I love speed in VR. You know, I'm unaffected by motion in it. So any Trackmania Turbo was like perfect for me. So VR Wipeout free update as well. And I don't know if it's still on sale, but very recently, if not still, Wipeout VR, Wipeout, the Omega Collection was $20, down from $40.
I want, what was that, the skating game?
Fuck, no. It's
talking about the speed skating.
I know, the Servios one. Yeah.
I'm waiting for that
Sprint Vector.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the one, like, I'm super
that looks, yeah, that's all about speed. I love it.
Yeah.
Jupiter and Mars, otherwise known as Cyber Dolphins.
Looks weird.
Just about the only thing I could get out of it. So, I mean, that just looks like kind of a cool experience. I love underwater stuff in VR. I always have. This looks a little bit more interesting than normal. Essentially, it is like a cross between like an echoey type thing, but then also with a lot of like cyber stuff mixed in, like there's like mechanical dolphins and stuff. Interesting looking game. Don't know much more about it than that, but Jupiter and Mars is the name of it. Go check it out or watch the footage behind it. And Killing Floor Incursion was the last game that they announced. This one you may have missed if you were only there for the original keynote speech. Killing Floor Incursion was the second day announcement. It was the Saturday announcement that was coming, and that is essentially a purely made for VR Killing Floor experience. Have you ever played Killing Floor?
I don't even know what it is.
I don't like it.
I don't know what it is, so I can't comment on that. Never played.
Basically, it's a horde shooter, so kind of like, think like Call of Duty Nazis. Like, you're in a location, and there are waves of enemies. And,
so, like, what's the one, Brookhaven?
Yeah, kind of like Brookhaven, but, like, way more intense. I mean, Brookhaven is intense, but it's like there's like hundreds and hundreds of enemies and stuff. So
I'm gonna sip my sweet Red Bull, not sponsored by Red Bull.
You see that? I'm gonna sip my sweet Vape Wild juice here. But yeah, it looks great, and it actually does utilize moves and things like that. So I think it should be a good time. I didn't like the Killing Floor, the main game, but the VR version of it looks to be more enjoyable. So I am 100% willing to give it a shot. Although the thing about it is, I would want to play it with you and with other people, and I think this might be too gory for you. You can like cut off enemies' arms and beat the next enemy with the arm.
Nope.
There you go. All right, so the other thing that was slightly announced was Rick and Morty Virtual Reality is officially coming to PSVR. So excited. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, I don't like Rick and Morty, but I would love to be in that world.
The game looks fun.
There's just something about that world that's enticing. it's weird for me to say. It's just too gross for me, I guess, the show. There's something about it. I've tried multiple times.
You like different levels of cartoons.
Yeah, well, I tried to get into it because, you know, I'm a huge animation fan, but I couldn't get on the show. But watching, I've watched YouTubers play this, mainly Jacksepticeye because he's a huge Rick and Morty fan, and it was quite awesome watching that experience. Yeah. And I watched Nerd Cubed. Go watch the Nerd Cubes video on the Vive with this. Holy hell, he's just like me. He's like, I'm just going to fuck everything up. Yeah.
So the other news, as far as Rick and Morty goes, is that earlier today, actually, the news came out. They have a more succinct release period for it because they had previously just said it's coming, and now they've officially said early 2018. So it's still the stupid 2018 thing that Sony's been doing, but they said early, which means that hopefully sometime like February, March, maybe we get it. It's super exciting.
I think it's going to be a summer game.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm saying it's going to be
mid 2018, wouldn't it? I guess. Well, unless it's an earlier part of summer, I guess.
I'm gonna say it's going to come out like May.
I think first 3 months.
You know, I chose May.
Why?
Because the early part of the month or the early part of the year has a lot of games that are supposed to come out at the end of the year that are pushed back, and if it's smart, it'll slide in that slot that usually there's nobody there. But now we're getting to where there's lots of things that are there, so.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, really the forthcoming games for PSVR are so exciting right now.
Well, just games in general.
Another one, new trailer for Knockout League, which is ready to rumble VR, basically. Yeah, so everyone's been waiting for a good boxing game in VR, I think. I mean, most people have.
I assume it uses the moves. It's got to use the moves.
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, so the trailer for that got released.
How many TVs are going to break?
Quite a few. Put those wrist straps on if you're playing this game.
Yeah, yesterday
looks like a good time, though.
I had what's-his-face playing Batman, and I was like, you're going to put these wrist straps on, so you don't have to move through my TV, please.
More awesome news. Golem
finally
gets a date.
You know what the best part of this is? You made this my birthday present.
Yeah, is it your birthday day?
It's the day after my birthday.
Oh, I can do that for you. I'm happy to. March 13th, which is early part of the year. So March 13th, Golem is officially coming out. Yes, it's Golem, not Golem. The developers are very on that for some reason. But yeah, they showcased some of this game at PSX. They had a whole sit-down, chat interviews thing, and they showed some gameplay. And essentially, it almost looks like, what was that game on the iOS? It was like Infinity Blade or something. Like, you know, when you had to do the sword fighting against things. Well, anyway, it looks kind of like that.
Tom, you know this.
That's true, for a long time. But yeah, so it's sword-based gameplay. You are essentially this sort of I don't know if she's disabled. I think she's disabled, isn't she? The girl that you play, and she like has to project into items, and that's how she like.
I don't know.
That's how she moves. Essentially, how she lives.
I just know it's the sound designer is the same person that worked on Halo.
Right. So should be. I mean, should be a good time. Swordplay looks pretty legit. Pink elephant. Pink elephant. Pink elephant.
Sorry, guys.
Didn't work. But yeah, it looks really cool. Everything about the sword play looks interesting. It looks like it actually matters how you're holding the sword, which is, you know, the most important thing. And also, Dreams has been confirmed to eventually support VR and, weirdly enough, 3D printing. Which blows my mind a little bit, the 3D printing part of it. But there is a video of them discussing this. It's the video link in the description below. You'll actually see it says info at 2630 in the video. That's the moment they start discussing this particularly. But yeah, Dreams officially confirmed that they are doing it. And the phrasing they used was this. It's not going to be day one, it's more likely day two. But they didn't mean day two in a literal sense. They just meant that it's going to be really quickly after you know, the initial kind of launch.
You said 2630?
2630.
I'm going to update your link, so you don't have to, you're just going to have to click the link and it'll go straight there.
Oh, cool.
Because Tom doesn't know how to YouTube.
That's true. So, I mean, what do you think about this one? Did you watch any of the footage of it? Like, because the gameplay looks so fucking good, what they showed off at PSX. It's kind of like 3 different narratives that are intertwining. There's one where you're like a bunny, and one that you're like this old dude. And
yeah, Dreams has always been a cool game.
It's Immediate Molecule, man.
Honestly, at this point, I just want it out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm to the, it's to the point where I've heard enough of it, and I've not heard enough of it, but I've heard enough about it that I just want it here. Yeah, I just want it here to play it. It looks cool.
What I'm most interested in is the fact that this is Media Molecule making a game that has the level of creation, well, more than the level of creation than Little Big Planet had. Little Big Planet was a game where you could go in and basically make any game you wanted to, and they're allowing you to have that level of experience with Dreams. So how that'll work with VR, like, are we going to get to create our own VR content? That's exciting. That's a kind of an interesting thought. And the 3D printing thing, like, that's like, what? Like, no one's doing that right now. That's incredible. So props to Media Molecule, and we are all looking forward to Dreams eventually dropping. Also, I'm going to actually get into an article for this one and start talking a little bit more. So, I don't know if you guys noticed recently, but there was a little update to a very popular game called Farpoint, and there is some information around that update that I wanted to share with you, because some people missed it. It was kind of one of those blink and you'll miss it situations. It's just an update to the base game. There was no additional like release or anything, but essentially Farpoint now allows you to play 1v1. Actual versus mode with the aim in the Farpoint universe, and everyone that's tried it says it's an absolute game changer. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about that. So the team at Impulse Gear is excited to bring you the Farpoint Versus expansion pack. The Versus expansion pack is free for all Farpoint owners and features 2 new PvP modes that pit 2 players with active PS Plus memberships against each other. And a unique twist, players can spawn enemy creatures from the planet and use them strategically to gain an advantage. In addition to the new modes, the Versus expansion pack also includes 3 new player skins, 15 new weapons which are unlocked by gaining player and weapon XP. Starting off with the 2 new PvP modes, Deathmatch and Uplink. In Uplink, communication relays are dropped into the play area and players must capture and hold them to gain points. Killing the other player and their enemy AI will also award points. Both Deathmatch and Uplink are based on a system of rounds. You need to win 2 out of the 3 rounds on each map to be declared the winner. Every round takes place in a different or separate area of one of the 3 new maps, Underworld, Pipeline, and Permafrost, each with 3 areas, so you need to learn the layout of each area to master the map. A key part of the gameplay is capturing enemy spawn points. If you capture them, the enemies will fight on your side. Each enemy type has a different function and abilities, so choosing which one to spawn and when is a tactical decision. As an example, grunt enemies will stay near you and act as bodyguards. Drones will scan and search for other players. You can follow them to find out where the other player might be hiding. The goobers act, I love that, the goobers act as artillery, lobbing acid balls down on the enemy player and enemy AI. You can only have a limited number of active allies at one time, so you will want to be selective with who you summon, and that's enough for that. But yeah, so this is like a whole new gameplay that they just kind of slipped in under the radar, and everyone's just been like, holy shit, like that's actually kind of awesome.
So I'm going to play WDNR here, because I'm good at that.
Go ahead.
I'm going to do it this time. My only concern with a game like this in PvP is the speed of the game. So when you think of like PvP, like Call of Duty, you think of Destiny, you think of Halo, you think of Gears of War. PvP is pretty quick moving when it comes to getting in, getting out. Obviously, you have to take into account VR. That's why I think.
But Farpoint moves pretty fast, like with the
yes,
aim.
but it's a different type of movement, because when you're Farpoint, you can stop, look around, all this kind of stuff, take in your environment. Like Firewall, to me, is a perfect PvP thing for VR to start with, because it's methodical, slow moving, room to room. You're not sprinting to get out of things.
So you think Farpoint might just be too fast?
I think Farpoint might be too fast for some people, because I think PvP will take the. I don't remember if Farpoint has a sprint button in it, but I think PvP potentially it'll play too slow for people that want it to play fast, or it'll be, if you make it too fast, people won't be able to play it.
So, I mean, it's fair to point out at this point. Yeah, no, totally. It's fair to point out at this point that none of us have played it, though. No. So, like, we don't really have an official opinion on it. I do intend to give it a shot.
I just think just my concern with it is PvP tends to be quicker moving than like PvE, because you can't control the environment as much.
And this has been a game, or an update that's been out for a little bit. So if you guys actually have played it, please drop a line in the comments and let us know whether Farpoint PvP is worth it. Is it good time? Is it slow? Is it fast? Let us know whether we should be playing it or not, because I think even you might consider it when you know it's just like you versus another person. Yeah. Even though there are some enemies, it doesn't sound like spiders are in there. Yeah. And then I'm going to rip through a bunch of sort of trailers that have dropped. I'm going to talk about them briefly, not a long time because there's a lot. Atomic Heart is a new VR FPS that looks like Russian Bioshock, basically, coming to PSVR. The trailer for it looks absolutely fantastic. It has a very unique art style. It has that kind of like rapture-y feel to it, but the whole thing's kind of got a Russian twist, obviously. obviously, hence Russian Bioshock. But yeah, it looks incredible. First person, I think, is always best done in VR. As long as the controls are right, I think this is something to really be excited about. So keep your eyes out for Atomic Heart. Then Hellsplit trailer dropped, and that has full body actualization. By that I mean it's probably the first VR game that I know of that you can look down and see your body, and you can see your arms, and you can. It's not just like a pair of hands floating in the air. Like everything.
As long as tracking works good, that's fine. If your tracking's off, it's wonky as hell.
We shall see.
Like in well, Star Trek, you have full body,
right?
But
you're sat down. This is like moving. You can actually walk around.
Well, you move your arms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is like legs and everything.
But it's weird when the tracking's off and
yeah. So, I mean, I think Until Dawn did that really well with the arms. So I'm excited to actually get some kind of full body actualization. I think that that's an interesting selling point. Whether it turns out to be great or not, I don't know. But it's at least worth a look.
Like you said, Star Trek, the one, as long as everything's lined up correctly, you're fine. As soon as anything's
I can see that being a difficulty.
It's just like, whoop.
I can see that. So Hellsplit trailer dropped. Again, that's in the comments, in the description below and behind us temporarily. And then we got another trailer. This is an official reveal trailer from PlayStation, and that is One Piece Grand Cruise. They got their official reveal trailer. Have you ever seen One Piece?
I know what it is. I've never seen it. I've recognized it.
It's like one of those Naruto things. Yeah. It just like lives forever, and it just never ends. But it's about a pirate monkey boy or something like that. It's one of those that, like, I did Naruto. I did Bleach. I got real far into both of them. I almost finished Naruto, but not quite. Because there's like 700 episodes of that show, right? One Piece is the same. So it's not, like, if you're a fan of One Piece, it's probably going to be amazing. If you've never played One Piece, this might lack as a franchise-based game and not like an individual game, because you kind of have to know a little bit of what's going on.
Well, it's a licensed game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's very few licensed games that stand outside the license.
And it's also a Japanese licensed game, so it's already going to be weird. So, yeah, but it's cool to see that they have the reveal trailer out for that, because One Piece is a very popular anime, so I assume that that'll make a lot of people happy. Project Lux is an anime PSVR game that I am a lot more excited about. Project Lux, it looks to be attempting to be an actual virtual reality anime show, almost, where, like, the Kizumonogatari game where you're in the cinema, you're watching, like, on the weird little anime girls by you, the one that I played one time.
Yes.
It looks like that, but more fully realized. So, like, you're in an anime universe, there's an anime, like, girl there, and you're talking, and it's kind of like, it just looks like a really neat usage of PSVR, putting you in a world that you would normally not be able to access at that kind of level. So Project Lux, really exciting. And then we have some awesome news from actually a PSVR Brazilian site. It's been over a year, but finally PSVR gets its first full roller coaster game. This is not Until Dawn. I think Until Dawn kind of counts as a roller coaster game, but obviously you're mainly shooting. This is pure, like, roller coaster. You're just in there for the ride. That's going to give you a level of inertia, obviously. It's going to be fun. It's going to be one of those things where I think it's going to be like you've been talking about, like a party experience where you're like, okay, you've done the shark, now try a roller coaster. You know what I mean? It's just kind of cool.
The only concern I just watched the trailer for. The only concern I have for it is the enclosed spaces. When you're in a big open area, you're fine. It's when you go through the tunnels, if those tunnels are too, because it's the car sickness thing. When things are close to your face, you tend to get sicker.
But I mean, fucking roller coasters make people motion sick. Real ones do.
Yes, so. but your body's used to moving. That's that double line that you got to be careful of. But I think it'll be fine. Yeah. I think the open areas will be fine. I'm interested to see how the enclosed areas work.
How do you feel?
There was a giant fire thing that reached up. That would be terrifying.
It's based on different like historical places and stuff as well, so it has themes to it. So it's not just like a standard roller coaster. There's some cool shit there.
If they add a create your own coaster, that would be fucking amazing.
Create your own coaster. And that's called Roller Coaster Legends, by the way. I don't think I ever told you the actual game name, but yeah, Roller Coaster Legends, really exciting to get a full roller coaster game. And then here's another one that's a fucking mouthful. Mega Dimension Neptunia V2R has a Western release date. So that is April 13th. This is a weird Japanese game. It's an existing series that already has titles out in the West. Weirdly enough, and this is what kind of throws me off a little bit, so you have games, right, like Summer Lessons. You have games like Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball 3. And these games never got Western ports, despite, like, there was, like, a massive amount of people that wanted summer lessons in English. Luckily, Hong Kong did us that favor, and at least we can buy it from the Hong Kong store.
I showed a buddy Judd that, and he's like, this is too creepy for me.
It's super creepy. But
I told Beth at some point I'm going to make her play it just to make her uncomfortable.
Yeah, like that's one game I actually really want to watch someone play other than myself, because I found it horrifically terrifying, but also kind of fun.
So I think it's interesting because like that one I don't have as big of an issue with when it comes to just like what it is as I do the Dead or Alive one.
Oh yeah, it's totally
that's just a peep show.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like some subtle thing. Like you have to like feed the chick a cake or something off a fork, and it's kind of awkward. Then she does it to you, and you have to like lean forward and eat the cake.
It's weird, but I don't think it's like it's not overly.
It's borderline.
Yeah, it's not
borderline inappropriate.
It's not to the point where it's just like you are doing this because it is sexual. You're doing this because you're teaching her.
Yeah, like there was actual like mythology to it, as opposed to Dead or Alive, which is just take pictures of VR.
I mean, Dead or Alive is known for people who are known for the boob physics. So.
True. So Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 has a release date in the West for April 13th. Look forward to that.
Next one sounds real cool.
Electronauts, a music creation VR experience by Survios. I mean, Survios have been pretty up there as far as like creating content. They did raw data, amongst other things. So this got announced for PSVR, and the official tweet from Survios says this: introducing Electronauts, a new immersive music creation experience from Survios. Make music with confidence no matter your skill level. Electronauts VR sets the stage for you to DJ, perform, and make music magic in VR. Learn more at electronautsvr.com. So it looks to be kind of like a weird, I guess, a rhythm game, would you say? Or do you think it's more creation? I think
it's probably more creation. The what I was going to say, what will make or break this game is how accurate the inputs are.
Right.
If it's move, I would love, as I'm a drummer, as move bass, if you have a drum set and you just brrr, and it registers everything. But we both know the moves are not that accurate.
No.
So that's what will make or break this game from a creation standpoint. But if it's like a Guitar Hero slight thing where you're playing something, we're playing in VR, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
But if it's creation and it's like it doesn't track well, you're going to be offbeat, you're going to be pissed, and not because you couldn't.
Well, they make it sound more like you're going to be a DJ as opposed to a musician. So I feel like it's going to be a lot more like tweaking knobs and dials and things like that, with maybe with some electric drums thrown in there. But
how? I'm interested to see the interface, how that works.
Yeah. Me too. So that's exciting news from Survios. Senran Kangura Peach Beach Splash, another weird Japanese one, gets its VR update with the free 1.03 patch. Senran Kagura, sorry, so many weird Japanese names this week, is just completely in-your-face Japanese tit fest, basically. I mean, it is like borderline Dead or Alive Extreme 3 level. It's supposedly it's a water gun game. It's a water gun battle game. Of course, right? Peach Beach Splash. But, you know, in VR, there's lesser of the game, more of the stare at the women thing. It's just the normal kind of half-pervy Japanese level stuff. And, of course, I picked it up for $35 on sale, down from $50. So don't worry, you're going to be getting some of that.
You can see Tom being pervy again.
It's like, I don't know. The thing is, like, I don't really feel pervy when I do it because I know that I'm not, like, attracted to a fucking anime character. But at the same time, it just makes me uncomfortable, and that makes me laugh. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like,
and you're recording for everybody else to see.
I get real squeamish, and like everyone can see what I'm staring at. So I get squeamish in a weird way about it. So there you go. You told me this morning. Arc Park releases spring 2018.
I've got the spiel here. This is straight from the devs. Dear fans, Arc Park is still in development and will be postponed to spring 2018. We are truly sorry for any disappointment this delay might cause. It warms our heart to see so many of you can't wait to get your hands on Arc Park. I feel like I'm barking Arc Park.
Aardvark.
As much as we are just excited to see the final result, the game needs a bit more polish and optimization. We are firm believers in publishing a game when it is fully developed. On top of that,
from the developers of Arc, that's kind of rich. I'm just gonna say.
Well, I don't know. If
I'm gonna leave that right.
This isn't made from Arc. It's a different dev.
Oh, it's different devs.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
On top of that, we hope all VR players, whether you have HTC Vive/Steam, an Oculus Rift, or PSVR, can have the same access to Arc Park. That's why we decided to launch Arc Park on all three platforms together, so that no one will be left out.
Fair enough.
At the meantime, we will continue to keep you updated with screenshots and latest news. Arc Park will be great. Appreciate your patience with us.
It's kind of funny saying just Arc Arc Park over and over and over again. some
Ironically, the name I forgot the name was Snail Games. The fact that Snail Games is delaying a game because it's taking too long. Too slow.
I mean, I'm not mad about it. Honestly,
No,
Arc Park to me has always been like a kind of let's just wait and see.
I've always been disappointed at Arc Park because of somebody who liked Arc and what they could have done with it.
They really didn't go anywhere, did they? Yeah. So I mean, it looks like a cool experience, but I don't think anyone is like creaming their jeans over it. So take all the time you need, guys. Just make it good when it comes out. It better be worth the wait. Let's say that. And then so I read this kind of cool article about the Inpatient, and I thought I would share some of it. This guy played the Inpatient, and he said it's really interesting how the Inpatient uses your own like senses against you, which I thought was kind of a unique thing for VR. So let's talk a little bit about it. This is from
PlayStation Blog.
Yeah, it's posted by Gillian McAllister, who is a content producer for Sony. As a kid, I couldn't walk past a line of railings without running my fingers along them. It's a tendency I still lean towards today as an adult. Grazing my hand along walls, fences, coarse or smooth, touch reinforces my awareness of the world. Sometimes I feel more than any other of my 5 senses. So, somatosensation ties me most strongly to my surroundings. That's a word I've never heard before. Smell and taste can transport me elsewhere. My vision can trick me into seeing things that don't exist. Sounds are open to interpretation. Touch, though, that's my link to the here and now, to what's real. In an upcoming PSVR game, The Inpatient, it's what I use to ground myself, thanks to just one of the subtle but distinct details creator Supermassive Games has developed. I recently visited Supermassive Games and was privy to a new portion of the game. I found myself in a tiny cell for most of my play session, and for all the horrors, both everyday and fantastical, I witness, I find odd comfort in reaching out and touching the nearest wall. The tactile feedback in my PS Move controller generates a sensory solidity that feels, well, real. We use the velocity of objects involved to tailor the vibration to your expectation, explains game director Nick Bowen of the fine-tuning his team has done to the controller's gyro functionality. This is why running your hand against a wall feels drastically different to punching it. It's amazingly realistic. After a quarter of an hour in the horror house that is Blackwood, I concur, and it doesn't matter whether you use twin PS Move controllers or DualShock 4, you'll feel like you're there. So how cool is that, man? Like, they've actually managed to make like a vibration level that makes the environment feel tactile.
It reminds me of when Xbox came out. Have you ever used the Xbox One controller for like a racing game? You probably haven't. So on the Xbox One, they have the vibe motors, or in the triggers, they each have their own vibe motor. So when you're racing is when I feel it the most because you're over rumble strips. And it's such a small thing, but it adds to the experience. So I played Forza on it. And the first time I went to go brake and felt only the vibration of my left hand because I'm on the rumble strips was a weird feeling. Or when you brake too hard and you feel the vibration in there, like it adds just that much more of an experience. And I think there's 2 things I think VR is missing right now. I think one is touch, some sort of hand feel thing. I think, and the other one is impact, whether that's wind or.
Well, they do have like that. You can buy that vest.
I know, but in general, like
right.
In general, those are the 2 things I think the next level enhancement are. Well, movement also would be like if you could do some sort of like we saw Beth try to kick the shark, she couldn't actually kick the shark, like things like that. But I think touch will be the next one because I think it's the next thing to implement, and this is a first step to it. I still am a firm believer that there's going to be something down the road because Oculus's touch controllers are now like it. The Vives kind of have it, but not really. But the touch controller is apparently like amazing with how they do that. So PlayStation needs to get on that boat because they are the biggest one right now. And if they get on that boat, it would make
They still have a patent out there for Move gloves, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, but the problem I have with that is tracking. Because the moves don't track well at all, so how would you track it with
Well, they have like the same bubbles. You know, what I was thinking about this the other day, I was thinking about, how do you, like you said, like we watched that clip earlier of Beth kicking an imaginary shark. So how can you build in like mocap to VR so that when you're like your whole body is covered in lights and it tracks that?
The Kinect did that.
Right, but how do you do that for VR?
You had a camera like the Kinect. So I think what you would need to do, and this would be a lot of work, you'd have massive ass camera.
You'd have to put like a whole suit on and everything.
Well, no.
I don't know.
No, what you would do is you do what the Kinect did. You'd have the camera, the PlayStation camera, that tracks the headset and tracks the moves. You then would have 2 or 3, the Kinect uses 3 cameras, so maybe you have 5 lenses on this camera. You then have 3 lenses that track the human body on the joints, because the way the Kinect worked was it tracked your joints. Because then, based on where your joints are, it can do the math of where everything else would be. So that's how it works. So you could do something like that where it tracks your whole body. Like I did... Your Shape Fitness Evolved on Kinect 1, which is a dumb game, But it's when you are doing a workout, you see yourself in the
It was
play
always
area.
a really good tracking.
And like
to connect.
unless you're laying down, then it didn't track. Doing push-ups in that game sucked, but anything else, it was wonderful. So that technology already exists on humans without having sort of light bulbs, because you're not. I don't think you'll ever wear a suit, but if you did something like that,
But that
that's
would
how
be
you do
good
it.
for the tactile, like, you know,
The suit would be,
Yeah,
but
you know
for
what I'm
just
saying?
body tracking.
because you could have it track you, but also like just as an extra thing, but then also have the impact points and stuff as well.
I just think less people would wear a suit versus have the camera.
True that.
And you'd also,
but
if you
it's
did,
exciting.
Also, if you did a suit, you'd have to have different sizes because you're a different size than I am. You can't just switch them out.
The other sense that they give extra importance to in the inpatient is audio, so you're hearing. And it says, Bowen stresses that the inpatient's audio is critical to the experience. It's binaural audio. For those of you that don't know, it basically means it's like 360-degree space audio. So if you watch ASMR videos like I do, then they will have binaural mics where basically if the person in the video is behind you, you hear them behind you. So binaural audio,
if you have a surround sound system and you watch a sports game, you can usually hear the crowd behind you.
Yeah.
The same sort of concept.
so it gives players a sense of where sounds originate from in a 3D space. It makes a perfect sense for a game that plays or preys on players' perceptions. Bowen states that the studio plans to inform and unsettle with the soundscape shifting between noises that are easily explainable, such as the skin-crawling scuttling of insects, and those that are not, as you force into situations that feel and sound like a living nightmare. So I'm super pumped for the inpatient. I know you are super not pumped for the inpatient. I'm sure you're pumped for the existence of it as like a VR experience. But yeah, I didn't picture that you would.
And then the next is Tom's weekly Convince Keegan that VR is the future link.
This is not that. This is not that. I just thought this was cute. I thought it was real cute. Last bit of news for the week. This, I mean, there's a little bit of that. But yeah. So Palmer Luckey, you guys know Palmer Luckey. He's like, you gotta give the guy credit. Like, Palmer Luckey, aside from being a psychopath, is the guy that actually put his money where his mouth is and said, let's fucking make VR a thing, and created the Oculus Rift. That's Palmer Luckey's thing. He was the one behind Dev Kit 1, Dev Kit 2. Like, this dude was the guy that got the ball rolling for VR. And, so Palmer Luckey recently tweeted out, PSVR is going on sale for $199, and that includes the PS camera and Gran Turismo. 2 million units sold, massive user engagement, great IP, and plenty of room to grow. Sony has a lot to be proud of. And he shared an article from Upload VR where Shuhei Yoshida basically just talks about the success. And Yoshida had actually said, the success of one of us is the success of all of us. So he had already Shuhei had already put out this kind of like warm and fuzzy VR feeling, and then Palmer Luckey responded in kind, and then Shuhei responds to Palmer with a little weird animated face thing with like squirrely cheeks and says, thanks, Palmer, and then Palmer sends back a bear with like a thumbs up face. So they're like sending these really cute emojis to each other, like the fucking head honcho at Sony and Palmer Luckey. He was super adorable.
You know what Shuhei reminds me as a Nintendo boy? He reminds me of Iwata. Like he understands gaming. He understands. He's a businessman. He's got to be, because he's the fucking president of Sony. Right? President? No.
Hey, he's up there.
He's an executive of Sony. I don't know what his official title is, but he's got to be a businessman, but he understands gaming, which is why I think right now in the games industry across everything we're in a real good spot, because you have Shuhei at Sony, you have Reggie at least Nintendo North America. I don't know who's leading the Japanese market. And then you have Phil Spencer at Microsoft. All three of these people have a gaming background. They're just not like Don Matrick, who's just a businessman.
They're also pretty charismatic for the most part, you know?
So, I mean, I would prefer to have Iwata, because RIP Iwata, because he was a great man. But where we're at right now in gaming is when it comes to the people running these companies and understanding what
we need.
As much as I hated Sony at the time, because I was a Microsoft fanboy, and I still kind of am, when they did the How to Trade a Video Game video, I laughed. Yeah. Because it was like, you nailed it. Like, I was pissed because I'm like, don't make fun of Microsoft. I love this. But at the same time, like, you got to laugh at shit like that, because you're like, here you go.
Sony's always been pretty cool with that stuff. But that was, I mean, it's sad to see Andrew House go. I'm still kind of sad about that. They gave a lot of, I don't know if you noticed, but like during the Game Awards and during PSX, they had interviews with him talking about, because those are like the last two things he's doing. Yeah. And about his time with the company and everything. And it was kind of awesome to see him from like a really young kid, like spend 20, 30 years in the business. Really, really cool. But Shuhei's awesome. And I just wanted to point that out, because I thought was really cute. A little exchange between the two giants of VR. So, moving on to the Spotlight. That's all your news for this week. Thank you so much for paying attention. I know we're already pushing an hour. So, this is a game that I was supposed to spotlight last week, but Keegan was sick, so I kept it for this week because I think it's important to talk about it. Doom VFR. You haven't played this yet, right?
I watched Jordan attempt to play it. He got frustrated with controls.
Jordan got super pissed off with the controls really quickly, and that's kind of partly why I want to do a spotlight about it, because I have played it, finished it, reviewed it, done everything I can do to it.
Did you fuck it?
I mean, maybe. I'm not gonna. Do
you have it digitally or physically, Tom?
I have it. I have it digitally. I couldn't fuck it.
You can't put it in the hole.
I thought about it.
Side story before we get it again. Last night I told Dan we were switching discs out because I have like 4 physical VR games. Tom, I go, Dan, there's gonna be a disc popping out. I was like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, shove it up your ass. I don't hand it to me.
Wow.
Put it in the case and give it to me.
Drunk Keegan, everyone.
Dude, I was so hammered last night.
So, Doom VFR. First of all, I mean, anyone that's in the review knows my thoughts on it, but I want to reiterate here because I want to talk to you about it.
It's not a Doom port.
It's not a Doom port.
I feel like that's the first thing we need to say.
Yeah, it's not the 2016 Doom that you all played.
On Switch.
It is made entirely for VR. Secondarily, there are some weird sacrifices that get made, and they're especially weird coming after Skyrim, I think is the nuts and bolts of it. I think if Doom came out first, Skyrim would have hit even harder than it did, but I also worry that expectations would have been tempered for Skyrim because of the way that Doom plays. So Doom has the option to use aim, to use moves, and to use DS4. The aim is interesting because the way that they render your arms is completely different in Doom to pretty much any game I can think of. Like, normally when they render your arms in VR, they're low, right? Doom renders them as if they're coming directly out of your head, which is super weird. So, like, you control your movement, your shooting movement, with your head. It's head-based shooting, right? But because the arms are, like, here in your screen, you feel like you have arms coming out of your fucking head. And it's really weird. Like, it's really disorientating to begin with. Like, everywhere you turn, these 2 little arms are going with you. With the aim controller, one of them is free roam movement, like with the aim, and the other is just like a grenade one that's coming out of your head. Sorry, microphone. We've been beating these up today.
That's my grenade going in the microphone.
The move is pretty much terrible to play with, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Just anyone that's tried it with the move so far is pretty much in agreement. I did DS4. Old Faithful, I like to call her. I'm Team DualShock to like that.
I mean, let's be honest, because I've always said, and I said with Skyrim, that I think DS4 was the way to go because they are focusing on making this work,
right,
and less focused on making this work.
Precisely,
so this is more traditional.
Yeah. So like for one thing, it's more comfortable to play for me in that arena. The other thing is that if they're not going to utilize what the aim was made for, then I don't want to use the aim for it. You know what I mean? Like Farpoint, you get to move full smooth rotation, everything, so it makes sense to use the aim. For this, you don't get to do that even if you're using the aim. So what's the point? You may as well just use a DS4. That's kind of where I was at. Also, I wanted to sit down, and I'm lazy, so I did that.
Tom is a sit down.
I'm a sit down.
Do you sit on the toilet when you pee?
No, not when I pee.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I have to think about that for a second.
That's why I was about to call you out on that.
No, so anyway, I played with the DS4, and here's the thing. There are 2 ways to move in Doom. You can teleport, which we discussed this a long time ago. It's not as bad as I was, but here's why it's not as bad, because you have a secondary option, right? If it was just teleport, I think I would hate it. The secondary option is you use, and this is weird.
I think it's the first time I yelled at you on the show.
Yeah. You get to use the D-pad, which is a weird choice, for quick burst movements. Left, right, forward, back. So you can like just tap up on the D-pad, and it's basically like you're running forward, right? And then, sideways, strafing, etc. So you utilize that in conjunction with your turning and in conjunction with your teleport. So here's where the rubber hits the road. So the movement options are kind of stupid. Like, not stupid, but like initially
compared to what we have now.
Yeah, with Skyrim, with Farpoint, with all those other things out there, it seems archaic.
That's the thing is like, I mean, obviously the people who made Skyrim, people who made Doom VFR, 2 different teams.
True.
But you would think they would have talked at some point about locomotion.
Yeah. I mean, Skyrim does locomotion perfectly. Doom could handle locomotion perfectly.
It does
they
opted.
Well. I mean, for me,
the moves locomotion was a bit funky, but the DS4 was good.
True that. But so here's the thing. So you have a game that initially when you start it up and you go through the movement tutorial, it's really easy to hate. Like, most people hate it. Jordan turned it off, and Jordan's a huge Doom fan. I'm like, semi-Doom fan. Like, I played the original Doom. I didn't play the 2016
I'm a Doom and Gloom fan.
Yeah, you're just sad. So I hated it. And during the initial tutorial, I got so mad. I was like, fuck this game. Like, I'm not going to play this game. It's stupid. I don't want to review it anymore. It's annoying. And then I was like, you know what? I really need to give it a chance. So I stuck with it. And there's this weird moment in the first, I'll call it battle room, because there's a couple enemies that you take out prior to it, but then there's this one kind of room where suddenly it turns into full fucking Doom. There's just like gigantic monsters chasing you all over the place, and little imps throwing fire at you, and like things with jetpacks flying all over the place. And it's the first time you're like kind of set up in this room environment with a wave-based situation. And during that firefight, something clicked that I wasn't expecting, and it was almost like I needed the shitty movement, because the shitty movement makes you feel superhuman. Because you can just teleport out of a bad situation onto like a 3-story higher place. Or you can just dodge at like the speed of light around all these enemies, because you're just like doing these little quick shimmies everywhere. So suddenly, what was originally like an annoying hindrance to the movement became a superpower and actually made you feel more badass and more like, I could totally take on that giant fucking thing because I could just teleport here, then teleport there. And like you actually felt like it was a power that you had, which is a weird thing to say, but that's when the game clicked for me. And it was like, okay, the head arm things kind of like, I'm over that. That's weird, but it's whatever. Its design choice was bad, but I can deal with it. The movement stuff was like, suddenly I got better at it. I was using the D-pad a whole bunch and it felt like more like smooth. And then I would only teleport when I was in serious trouble or if I had to like do platforming or whatever. And it got to a point where I really liked it. And I actually liked the movement a lot. And I started to grow on me. I started to feel badass. I had like a super shotgun in one hand, grenade launcher in the other hand. I'm like fucking dodging in and out, like teleporting, blowing a guy's head off. And I started to think like, and the metal riffs start kicking in, you know, and I started feeling
Doom's music is amazing.
It's just like, yeah, right?
So
I was like, this feels fucking awesome, actually. I played the whole thing. I played it all the way through in one setting. I literally just went, I think it was 2 hours. 2 hours was the actual length of the game with no deaths. I played it in 3 hours. So I died enough times to make another hour's worth of playtime. But I played the whole game through because I got so into it and I so kind of wanted to get to the end and see like the bigger, badder demons and stuff that I like totally got absorbed in it. And I really enjoyed it and I had a great time. And now like I would go back and play it again, which is something I never say about games. I never want to go back into an experience like after I've completed it, but Doom has this kind of allure to it, where there's a ton of collectibles, there's a ton of like grades that you get for each level that you get through, like, and it's just fun. It's just fun to go around and blow things heads off, like in, you know, for like they're up close, there's like blood everywhere, and you're just like to a metal soundtrack, dude. It was the best. So I think I'm torn on the price. That's the only thing that gets me. Because $30 is, I mean, it's a really good experience for $30, but it's 2 hours. The movement thing you can get over, you know, all the other weird shit you can get over, but it's 2 hours. And $30 for 2 hours is a little excessive. It's a really good time. If it clicks with you, if you allow it to click with you, $15, $20 would have, I think 20 would have been fair for someone that's maybe not the biggest Doom fan, and that's the reason why I'm like, if you love Doom, $30 is okay. If you love Doom, because you do get a really good Doom VR experience. But if you kind of just like Doom, or you like played it a little bit, or you're just kind of interested, 20 would be better. So I would say totally wait for a sale if you're not the biggest Doom fan. If you do genuinely like Doom, and you're okay to stick with it, because there's going to be like a moment at the beginning when you're like, this feels awkward and horrible and I hate it, but you have to stick with it, and you have to really give it its due, and eventually I think it's well worth it. I think it's a really good time. And I wasn't expecting to say that. And I wasn't expecting to praise the teleportation. I wasn't expecting to give it a semi-positive review. But honestly, it was my own setbacks that made me feel shitty about it. And I think that anyone that's tried it so far and has kind of hit that wall at the beginning where they're just kind of like, the movement's stupid, try it with a DS4. Give it a chance. Get to a room where you have to fight multiple enemies and see if it starts to click with you, starts to feel better. And at a certain point, the agitative things just kind of melt away and it just becomes Doom. So that's my spotlight on Doom V fucking R. I think you might even enjoy it. It's not like scary per se. I mean, you're fighting demons, but like they're not scary.
I'm not a Doom fan at all. Like I never got into the series. I've never.
That's fair.
Been,
but
like even when it came out on PS4, I'm like that looks interesting, but like even then I was like I don't care.
Yeah, I mean you're welcome to try it on my account, of course. Yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting, and it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's nowhere near Skyrim at all, but it's worthy of existing, and I think it's kind of worth a pickup too.
Cool.
There you go. So I have 2 questions written down, and I still didn't know which one I wanted to go with.
I say go with the first one.
Yeah, the first one?
I say the first one.
I thought the first one, but then people fucking yelled at me about this. Okay, so let's get something straight, r/PSVR. I know you're watching. So I posted recently on Reddit, and I said, hey, now that Game Awards and PSX are over, let's talk about what wasn't there. Because there was, all year, we've been talking about, like, these Move 2.0's.
I want to point, Tom's been talking about it. I've been...
Well, yeah, it's, I'm the guy that talks on the show. But we've been talking about Move 2.0's, we've been talking about Fallout 4 VR, like, all these kind of, like, leaks and things have been kind of here, there, and everywhere. And everyone's like, I've not heard anything about this. I'm like, you need to start watching our show. So there's been so many hints towards, like, a navigational controller showed up in the menu for something. We had developers that were like, oh, Sony has a new controller option that we're waiting for. There's been leaks towards this potential Move 2.0 system. And there was leaks for Fallout, but I think we've all moved past that and just realized that GameStop is stupid. But the Move 2.0's were not at PSX, which was my prediction / want was that they would showcase them there, because like we said, that's the Sony one. That's the one where if they were going to do it this year, that would be the one they would do it at.
My prediction was they weren't, but I'd want it.
Yeah. Well, and I think everyone wants it at this point. So, so I know a lot of people out there like hate me for having this opinion of like just continuously going on about the Move 2.0's. I just want them so bad, guys. It's like, it's a good thing, right? Like, don't we all want them? But they didn't appear at PSX. We never saw hide nor hair of anything similar to them. There was no kind of like, hey, we have this thing, it's coming. Do you think we'll ever see them, is the question, or do you think Sony is just going to keep the current status quo until they release a new headset or PlayStation 5, or they're going to wait for some hardware change? Or do you think they're going to actually release something at some point this year, maybe?
Well, not this year, because the year's almost over.
Yeah, 2018, sorry. Yeah.
So, my take on it is, as I said, I didn't think they're going to have Move 2.0. I'm part of the boat that thought you were just reading too much into shit, and I've said that many times on the show, that you're reading too far into shit.
That's fine. I'm all aboard the hype train.
My thought on that is, do I think they're working on something? Yeah. It would be dumb if they weren't, because they're going to R&D something. They've got to be investigating something, especially now with Vive having what it did, and then the Oculus Touch. Like, I can't express enough how good the Oculus Touch controllers are. And the one thing, and I think most people who watch agree, the thing that's holding back PlayStation VR right now is locomotion with the moves. Like, that's probably the biggest issue. I think now, as somebody who has kind of been hard on software, I think the software lineup is getting there, and it's finally getting to the point where, like, okay, there's exciting things for everybody. There's still I still think there's a quality issue on some things, but we're getting the big mid-tier games, and we're getting the big games that are coming in, which is all I wanted. I didn't want fucking 30 million $5 games. Give me the $20, $30 games that feel like $20, $30 games. Give me the AAA games that I'm going to get every, like, 2 a year, 3 a year, whatever it may be. But I think Sony will make some sort of locomotion touch-based controller.
For this system?
For PSVR.
For this PSVR?
For PSVR.
Okay.
Not PSVR 2, not anything else, for PSVR.
Good.
That being said, I don't know if they will release it now or when they do an iteration. So they're going to make a controller that works with both. If they do, because my prediction's always been PS5 will come out in 2019. PSVR 2, or whatever the hell they call it, will come out in 2020. I think when they drop it in 2020, they'll have a new controller option that will work with that, but it'll also be backwards compatible with any unit already sold, because it would be dumb if they didn't do that, especially if it's built on, if the architecture of the PS5 is the same as the PS4, which it's probably going to be, because it'd be dumb again if they went to power cells or whatever the hell they used in PS3. Like, I feel like they're just going to stick to that architecture because it works. That's what Microsoft uses. It makes porting easy for developers. I've learned if you make things easy to developers, you get games. Crazy concept. So there's something coming. Do I know when that is? No. Do I want it sooner versus later? You think it might be as far
away as 2020?
Yeah, I think it would be. The reason I say that is, again, they want to think from Sony's perspective. Sony obviously is pushing this headset, and you know this is version 1.0. Sony wants to build the hype with this. They know they're probably not going to sell millions of billions of units. They've sold 2 million, but I don't think it's going to hit. I don't think it's going to hit critical mass at any point soon. And there's a lot of people, and we've seen this, like the Apple Watch, the first generation Apple Watch. The first generation of anything is never good. People wait for generation 2 because they're going to fix everything they didn't have with the first one. So,
but the early adopters are what keeps Gen 1 systems alive.
Yes.
And makes them make a second.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. But there are people that will not buy a PSVR until it says 2.0. And when that happens, Sony will say, hey, we're going to give you PSVR 2.0 and give you better controls, because put that together, that's a bigger selling point than just like, here's a new headset.
Right.
And people will be like, what's the difference between the headsets? Because people don't...
More bang for your buck.
Yeah, people. Well, it's also just people not knowing the difference between the headsets. So they could say it's higher, maybe the resolution's higher.
It'd be sweeter if they had
whatever it may be.
That Connect camera thing as well.
Yeah.
That'd be really
I don't think
cool.
it'll happen, but no, but like things like that, like from a big picture business hat perspective, that's the best way to do it, because you'll then, like, Destiny is a prime example for me, kind of a similar experience. Destiny 1, I bought it, didn't like it. I was like, doesn't have any sort of story I care about. I don't really know. I don't give a shit about this world right now. I'm shooting aliens. Why? I don't know. Destiny 2, they put in it's basically 1.5, which is I think what PSVR 2 is going to be. It's not going to be a big jump. It's going to be a upgrade in visuals, and it's going to be probably an upgrade in the cable system, because I feel like the cable system right now is a little janky.
Yeah. Mine keeps cutting
and controls.
It's getting annoying.
Yeah. So I think, like, for that, the reason they didn't just make Destiny 2 a new DLC and then can do that 10-year expansion is they knew that platform they were building on was limited.
Right.
And people were already like, well, I don't want to buy this because of what I've heard. So if they release a new, fresh, clean slate, and as long as they make it backwards compatible, because I think if they don't, there's going to be a lot of backlash from people, especially early adopters. And your early adopter audience is only 2 million units, so it's not a big audience. Versus, like, when you do a console launch, people bitch if there's no backwards compatibility, but in the end of the day, I don't think it's as big of an issue as people make it out to be.
No.
It's more fan service.
I'm fine with, like, remakes.
But at the beginning of a generation, it is huge.
Yeah.
Because you can go back and play this old library of stuff. Mm. So that's why I think they're coming, they're researching it, there's something going on, but I don't think it's going to come until they announce the next pair of VR equipment, unless it is bundled with a specific game, like like
a special game that comes out,
like the AIM was. But I don't think that's happening.
I actually think you're half right. I think that it will come bundled with a specific game. I don't think it's going to be wait till the next PSVR, mainly because the technology cannot be that fucking hard to figure out. Right? I mean, they have the AIM. They already know how to do navigation. You literally just have to figure out a way to split the AIM in half and make it more comfortable in each hand. Like most of move-based games, you're gripping these wands, right? So if they could make them more ergonomically comfortable, like whether they're more sort of gunnish shaped, like banana shaped, or whether they're, I don't know, whatever, because that's what the touches are like, right?
No, they're horseshoes.
Aren't they? What are the ones that go?
The
like
Vives are like that.
The ring.
Yeah, that's the Vive.
Yeah.
That
type of like design kind of.
The Oculus Touch is the best one.
But yeah,
I'll pull a picture for you.
So the Vives are the ones I was referring to.
Yeah, the Oculus Touch is, in my opinion, the best ones. Images.
So those are the, those are pretty, but that's what I'm saying. Like they have that curve to them as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I think that all they need to do is like literally take what you have now in the Move, make it more ergonomically comfortable, maybe help with the tracking a little bit. Like if you got to put some extra little colorful balls on there, feel free to do that. And then just stick a goddamn analog stick on each one. That's all you have to do. Like the way that the AIM handled it in terms of like having the analog kind of in the middle and then having the buttons around it was really well thought out, and it works really good, and we're okay with that. Like that's totally fine, because most of the time, like you're using the triggers for most things anyway. Like really, most move-based games are trigger and the top button, and that's it. Like, that's all you're using. It's not until you look at a game like Solace where you actually have to do like movement, or Skyrim where you do movement based on button pressing. But once you remove the need for movement based on button pressing, then you're not using that many buttons on those controllers. So it's I think the tracking improvement and ergonomic improvement, and stick a goddamn little stick on each one, and you're there. And it just seems like something that should have already happened to me. It's like,
but what you're doing is I think what they're doing is completely redesigning the moves.
You think so?
You're thinking saying
that would be a redesign of.
No, what you're doing is you're putting a stick on an existing move, essentially.
Well, no, I'm saying though, change up the design of it, make it ergonomically different, make it more comfortable to hold, add some extra light bulbs to it, so make it like more.
But I think there's more to it. There's more to it than that. Like
I'm sure there is. I'm not fucking hardware engineer.
No, but
I'm just saying. Like,
what I'm saying
technically, they already know how to do it because they did it with the aim. They just need to split the aim in half and make it work, like somehow.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think if they were really smart and if they want to get ahead of the curve, because I think the next time they make a Move controller, it's going to be something that's going to change the way we play with VR.
Right.
So it's going to be full hand tracking. It's going to be something else like that. Because what you're doing is you're putting a Band-Aid on a problem, but if you could take that Band-Aid off and you get the proper surgery done, and you have a bionic arm instead of having it all bandaged up.
Maybe that should be the Move 2.0, just bionic arms.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, to me, with innovation, especially early on in the generation, you don't want to make incremental jumps. That's for later on in the life of something. You want to make big leaps forward because you want to convince somebody.
Literally changes the game.
Yeah, because why else? And that would make then early adopters switch to it. Because if you just put joysticks on, yes, there'll be a group of people that do it, but there's other people like, I don't care. Why would I spend another $80 on these two?
I don't know. I think it's probably the most requested.
But you're in the hardcore audience for it.
That's true.
So you have to remember, there's people. I don't consider myself a hardcore VR player.
Would you buy them?
Would I buy them?
Wait. Let me preface this. Would you be if you got Move 2.0s that were essentially little more than the moves, but with navigational sticks and like a rearrangement of the buttons? Would you buy that, or would you wait for like a fucking glove or something more fancy? Like,
I would wait for something fancy because I don't play enough games that use locomotion movement with the moves.
You don't.
I do a lot of standing games.
But that's because there's not a lot of games out there that do that.
Then why? Yeah, and then
but the ones that are there are pretty fucking huge, like Skyrim.
Then why would you do it? Essentially, is the argument there?
Well, that's I mean, like things like Skyrim that I really want to play Skyrim moves because I want to use the weapons. I want to use a bow and arrow. I want to like actually feel it, but I can't because I can't move comfortably in it. So that's like. Skyrim's one example, but there's going to be so many more on the horizon. Because even with like,
but they're making a controller with those games in mind, not to fix what we already have.
That's fair.
But to go forward and say, hey, you want this? We're going to give you what you want, not what you think you want. It's the whole phrase of any sort of innovation. Like you don't know what you want until somebody shows it to you. And I think Sony, as much as I sometimes play like, oh fuck them type thing, like when it comes to this kind of stuff, you need to figure shit out. I think they've got something up their sleeve. They don't want to talk about it because it's going to be a big like home run. It's going to be a grand slam potentially down the road. I don't think they want to show stuff too soon, and I think that's why like again, Move 2.0 is the phrase we've been using, but it's going to be. I think it's going to be something
completely different.
It's going to be something we didn't even think of, and I would love that because that would be cool. The other issue I think they have is the camera that is used to track. And then you run into the issue is, okay, if you release a new system, if you release a new camera, does your old moves, does your old headset work, all that kind of stuff? Because I think at some point they're going to change how they track because there's going to be a more sophisticated thing than lights. Like it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So that's the technology advancement has got to be there. But I really, really think they're working on something that's way bigger than just joysticks on a move because that's the easy answer. And they probably could do it pretty simply. They have the navigation controller, put a light bulb on it, and you've got it. But I think they're working on something that will. You say you want that, but what you're going to get is going to blow your mind.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I really do. I think that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, the most concern I have is based around...
You tell me all the time. Patience, Tom.
The most concern I have is around gun games, basically, because like I feel like now like there's so many games with guns in them or like weapons that the aim control is perfect for if you have a single solitary rifle, but there's so many that have like dual wielding. Like this new Killing Floor Incursion is dual wielding. A lot of other titles are going to probably be dual wielding in terms of like Firewall maybe, and I don't know about Bravo Team or anything, but I feel like that's a huge that market right there for when games like Alvo come out, when games like Firewall come out, is the potential that you really want. Like those are the guys that are going to be looking for that amount of freedom and being able to dual wield.
And that's why I think they're making something potentially for those games.
Cool.
But it's not going to be Move 2. Like, it's not going to be what you think Move 2 is going to be.
What do you think, lovely audience members of ours? Do you think that we're going to see Move 2.0's, which is our, lackadaisy name for it, before this generation is up? Or do you think it'll come out roughly the same time
2020.
as the next one does, as Keegan does?
If I get this right, by the way, I feel like you owe me, a pizza or something.
Anyway,
if I get PS5 in 2019 and PSVR 2
I will buy you a fucking pizza.
Whatever the hell you call it.
I'll buy you that disgusting thing you bought on the live stream.
I'm not betting on names. I'm just betting on what it's going to be.
All right, fair enough. What do you think it's going to look like? Do you think it's going to be a complete overhaul? Do you think it's just going to be literally the moves with some sticks on them? We would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Again, I know this is a contentious point. Don't hate me for it. I really
I love hating on you for it.
Oh, yeah, well, you're allowed. But I genuinely think that this is this would be how PSVR wins VR. I think if they can get this right, the future is just bad.
They're already winning VR, though.
Well, no, this is crush the competition winning. This is and I don't, here's the thing, I don't necessarily want them to crush the competition, but at the same time, I feel we're doing so fucking well right now, and this is in my mind, the only thing holding it back.
Oh, there's lots. I mean, the fidelity of it, the tracking. Yeah, there's lots.
But I'm okay with what's there now. It's not like those.
And there's people that are okay with the moves.
I'm not yearning for those, but I'm yearning for a dual-fisted. I gotta be careful of how I end that sentence. A dual-fisted movement-based option with with two hands. So, what do you think? And that's about it. That's our show. This has been Codename Morpheus, episode 20. Made it all the way to 20. That's pretty good. Well, 21 technically, but 20.
Yeah. 22. 20-2.
The best thing you can do for us is to, if you want to help us out, if you like the show, if it's informative to you, is share it. Share it with your friends. We know you have a bunch of new friends that just got PSVR. Please let them know that we exist and that this is a cool show to watch to get your weekly update on PSVR, either audio or visual. And we also have our cool studio here so we can show you gameplay, etc., etc. Or you can buy shirts. These shirts are cool, man. It says Codename Morpheus. It has a little logo on it. You can do that for us.
Shop.spreadshirt.com/LoveToGamersSTL.
Correctamundo. And also we have a Patreon. Now, our Patreon, admittedly, is shitty right now. We need to overhaul the whole thing. It's
from when we did the last refresh.
It's a relic at this point.
Halloween last year.
But it doesn't mean you can't still throw $1 our way if you think it'll help. And of course, we will completely redo the pledges and everything here soon. That's on our sort of bucket list of things to do for the show. But yeah, spread the word. If you don't want to give us any money, if you do feel like helping out or getting a sweet shirt for the deal, then do that. Or if you just want to donate $1 so you can get your news nice and fresh and help us purchase all these VR games that we review and go through, and also visit cons and talk to people and that kind of stuff. That'd be cool too. So I don't like begging, but you know what I mean. It would help us out a ton if just a couple of you guys put $1 in. That'd be awesome. Thank you to those people that are doing that, by the way, because we do have Patreons, and we are supremely grateful for those guys that go that far, or buy our shirts or whatever. So that's this week rounded up. Any last thoughts or feelings or emotions? Or
Move 2.0 2020.
2020. It's like it's running for president. Thank you again so much for watching. We always adore doing this show. We adore you guys for all the support that you give us. And we'll see you next week. So as always, thanks a lot for watching.
Welcome to the second level.
Bye.